Good to see each one of you this morning. I'm honored and thank you, Pastor, for the invitation to join the saints here at Mount Olive once again to be part of this service. Now, we're entering Lent, as he said, and you received a rock or grabbed a rock when you came in, and perhaps some of you feel like kind of been hit by rocks this week. I don't know what your situation is. I know everyone has maybe dodged some rocks, so to speak, emotionally or even physically in terms of health or other people in your life, the concern that you have. My assumption is that when people come to worship, that they come with needs. They come with a whole week or maybe a lifetime of distress or upset, but they also come knowing I need what the Lord promises or that I want to hear again, that He has promised this to me. So, welcome again to worship. We come here to hear His word, His revelation. We come to sing, to rejoice, to pray for one another, regardless of what's going on in our lives. It may have been the best week you've had in a long time. And it might have been one of those weeks you just want to forget. But the reality is we're here to worship, and I see a lot of the young people. Tell you what, you don't have to be real old to feel like you're kind of getting hit a little bit, right? So we're here to continue our journey. And the theme here at Mount Olive for the Lenten season is Journey of Stones. What we're going to do today, what I'd like to do today, pray the Spirit's presence in a way that encourages each one of us to talk about change in the midst of our journey. Change. Now, I've been around Austin almost, 50 plus years. I obviously came when I was very young, right? The White Oak Hill. I remember the White Oak Hill the first time I drove through man, this is really nice, peaceful out here. I mean, there was a restaurant, Convict Hill Restaurant. Any of you remember Convict Hill Restaurant? Now, that was a place to eat, way out in the sticks. Things change. 290 has changed. You've changed. Maybe this week the change was very obvious. That is, it could be a change in physical health, a change in your sense of how secure I am based on work or income or reports all over the world of meetings that people have and what are they talking about. Man, that's changed. I used to feel more secure, perhaps. Perhaps some of you feel more secure than you did once upon a time. But the fact is, we are on a journey in which there is change. Now, there's a phrase that we're going to talk about also as we talk about this journey, with stones representing also the hardness of life, the variety of life. This is not a smooth stone, all righty? At times, wouldn't that be nice? Just nice, smooth stone. I could just kind of roll around in my hands, and it's just so calming. And I knew a guy that flew bombers in World War II. He's now with Jesus, but he had something that became smooth. He said, it wasn't smooth when I started, but I rubbed it so much, it's smooth. It was a silver dollar. You got to go through a lot to get a smooth stone. But most of the stones are not smooth, nor is your life, nor mine, smooth all the time. So, what do we do? Now, what is there that doesn't change in your life and mine? Well, we use a phrase sometimes along this stone phrase. It's written in stone. That is, there's some things that just are the way they are. That means that it's something permanent, all right? Something permanent. What is permanent? Permanent might be, okay, I got a phone call. It was it was one of those phone calls trying to get me to give them my credit card number. It was from, quote, my health care company, Humana, alrighty. So this is so-and-so calling for Humana, and I understand that you have arthritis. And I said, no. I mean, I have other issues, but I don't have arthritis. Oh, well, he was going to give me something that, quote, would help with arthritis. It was a brace. And the con was, okay, I'll set you over where you can order it, right? Oh, and it's free, part of your plan, but there's a little bit of a expense to get it to you. And I said, no, obviously this is a scam. It was something that was trying to seduce me into giving them information that would be used against me. And the phrase that I used, that it's written, I said this to myself, it's written in stone that I don't have arthritis. I mean, it is just the proof, and now it might not be permanent, but I don't. Alrighty, but this idea, it's written in stone. What is always going to be present? It could be a health issue. It is written in stone now, that there might be another issue. It's written in stone. It's not going to change. It's written in stone that whatever age you are, that's the age you are. It's written, in a way, in stone. It's written in stone that physical laws obtain, at least on planet Earth. Now you go to the moon, it's different, but we don't live on the moon. We live here. And the fact is that I can only jump so high, written in stone that if I climb up a building and fall off, I go straight down, and I won't enjoy that a bit. Written in stone, mean and ugly and terrible to people. It's, quote, in a way, written in stone. It's going to happen that people are going to have difficulty relating to you. Now, I'm not talking about anyone in here, all right? Just some things just happen. Drink a case of beer and get in the truck and go out and drive around the hills, you're going to have problems. I mean, it's written in stone. Now, something is permanent when it's written in stone, and we want to talk about, in light of the scripture readings that Julie read, the Old Testament particularly, what is written in stone and what isn't. What is permanent and what isn't. Now, let's go to Israel's story, and that's probably the longest reading that I've ever encountered as a pastor. Alrighty, I'm sorry. but I was thinking, I hope people follow it, and I'm not going to read it word by word because it's but it is a very important reading. You may have heard along the way this story, the event, and let me put it in the context. It's a story, a part of the history of, quote, the children of Israel. Who's Israel? Israel was 400 years prior to that, the progenitor of all of those people that were called the Jews. Alrighty? They had a history. It started with two people, Abraham and Sarah, and out of the two, and then they had kids, and then their kids had kids, and the kids' kids had kids, and 452 years later, all of these kids, because they started growing up 400 years before in Egypt, lived in Egypt. Now, Egypt was very powerful, and they were in charge, and they built a lot of stuff, and they need a lot of labor, and as the Old Testament recounts that these children of Israel became the forced labor crews. And it was tough. It's tough work. If you've ever worked outside in the heat, you know that's tough. Well, God had made a promise, though, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It had gone down through the family line. It was the family story. It was their history. It was their heritage. And it was their legacy that they shared with one another. Hey, we're not supposed to be in Egypt. We're supposed to be in a place called the Promised Land. No blisters, no hunger. It's flowing with milk and honey. I mean, you want to be there. And now, at a given point in history, they heard from this man named Moses, who was raised in luxury in Egypt, in the Pharaoh, the ruler's palace, that he's now organizing folks to get out of Dodge or to get out of Egypt. And on a specific night, it's time to leave. And they left with the Egyptians hot on their tail, but they escaped in a miraculous way. And here now we pick up the story. They're in a desert area. There's a mountain called Mount Sinai. Their leader, who had, hey, we're going to follow Moses. We're going to follow Moses. He's going to lead us to this wonderful land where we have security, where we have a future, where we don't have to grub and scrub and work the fingers of the bone at every day for us and our kids and our grandkids. Hey, we're going to be where we have been called by our God. They didn't know him completely, so they just called probably a God to get us out of Dodge. Moses, all of a sudden, they look around and say, where'd Moses go? Where's our fearless leader? Got to have a fearless leader, right? Well, he had gone up on the mountain, met, I'm going to use the word God, but you see, people have different pictures of God. This was the God. Not the sun god, the moon god, the cat dog God. His name is Yahweh, Jehovah, translated in Old Testament, Jehovah. Personal, not a life force, not a Zeus or a Mars kind of Greek or Roman god. He has a name, and he's called us by name. We're his children. His name is Yahweh. And Moses was to teach the people what it means to follow this God, the only God. So he and Yahweh are on the mountain. Yahweh is giving him what we call the Ten Commandments, written in stone. This is permanent. And then the people look around and says, where's Moses? Don't know. Well, we need a leader. Our fearless leader's gone. What are we going to do? Well, we need, and it says in Scripture that Julie read, we need a God to guide us. In other words, we need someone to get us where we're going. But they said, Moses isn't here. And then they said, well, let's just make a God. You know, kind of do it yourself, right? Like do it yourself bear, Care Bear at Christmas, where you can make your own little fuzzy bear. We're going to make our own God. So they went through the process. They get the jewelry together. They have an artisans. They build this golden calf. Not just a calf. It's golden. And they worship it. And they even say, oh, thank you that now we have a God. We can't figure out where Moses is. And it says then they gave themselves up to reverie. Not revelry, reverie. What does that mean? That means a big party that you stay at as long as you can. You know, you fall down, you get up, you keep partying, all righty? So that's what they're doing. Yahweh is not as if, duh, what's going on? No, he knows. He knows. He gets upset, he gets distressed, and he gets very angry. It's not a juvenile anger. It's not a stomp your feet kind of stuff. It's that intense rage when someone that you love, kind of the anger that a parent would feel toward someone who's abusing their child. He says, y'all are my children, and now they're following wanting to create another God, and it's abuse. I'm angry at the whole situation. And at that time, Moses says, I know you're angry because they have built other gods. They said, these are our gods now. We'll just make one. And Moses intercedes, says, Yahweh, these are your children, and I know we do not destroy them. And Yahweh did not destroy them. Moses comes down the mountain. He is upset. I don't know if you've ever had someone that just didn't appreciate or understand what you've done. And I'm not talking in a selfish way, hey, look what I've done, a little martyr complex. But it says they haven't seen. A parent might say, the child hasn't seen how much I love them, how much I've sacrificed. And it's not like I say, look at me, I'm the big martyr, like I said. They just don't understand what it took for me to be able to do for them what I've done. I mean, that does not enhance a relationship. So that's what's going on. Moses comes down, upset, breaks the tablets. Now, he did go back. This is not the whole story, obviously. He went back up, and he and Yahweh talked again, and Yahweh, in a way, the finger of God wrote again on those tablets what it was that was going to create community in this ragtag bunch of people who are trying to establish a new life, who pursue their own ways of trying to be secure and safe and have a future. And that's what the commandments were about. If you cut them out, 1 through 3 is love God. 3 through 10 is to love one another and how you do it. So it was good. It's good stuff. So he did bring that down again, and that was then, as they continued their journey, how the Lord was going to shape them. Realizing that there, again, are going to be days when it's not at all easy to do what the Lord calls us to do, and that there would still be a need for God's mercy and grace. So that's Israel's story of God's grace that endured, in a way written in stone. There's also our story. Oh, different in so many ways, so many ways. And at the same time, there's a thread, 2 threads running through your story, my story, our story together as God's people. One thread is God continuing to work with and to journey with his children when they're following him and when they're rebelling, when they're sharing his love, when his love is a long way from experiencing in a personal life or in a home life. He says, I'm going to continue, written in stone, my mercy and my grace, Psalm 139. The Lord's love endures forever. That thread is running through there. There's also that thread of, well, I don't know if you've ever made a golden calf, probably not. Or if you have one in the house, probably not. But I know in all of our lives, mine, yours, we shape things. I'm going to follow this. This is going to be my God. You remember that reading? We need someone to lead us. Okay, well, hey, I'll tell you what my impulses are going to lead us. I mean, a little revelry, right? Revelry. Okay. I'm just going to follow my impulses. Oh, okay. Well, if I'm going to get anywhere, I need to establish myself as someone that is noticed, whether you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, or whatever it is already. People will notice me. Now, subtly, we all have a need to be noticed. Now, the beauty is God notices us. Yahweh notices us. Not only notices, he knows. Jesus said, I know that the hairs on your head are numbered, and, there are a few less today than there were yesterday, but I know it. Just a way of saying, you're my child. That thread runs through his mercy and his grace. In the midst of our attempting at times to fashion other gods. A God you can see, whether that's on a spreadsheet or see, oh good, I only know, $400 more on my mortgage and then I'm free. Or the sense, if I just have this, then everything will be fine. If I just have better health. Well, you might have really good health and get hit by a car the next day, or have really good health and spend life in ways that are neither healthy, morally, or relationally. In other words, okay, when this happens, then everything will be fine and great. I'm going to pursue my own plan. And the Lord, in his mercy and grace, says, no, I want you to listen to my plan. Because I guarantee you, it ends well. It ends well. Again, very few of us have fashioned golden calves, but there's something in all of our hearts and lives at times that we've placed in the place of the good and gracious God who calls us to follow him. Shaping other gods? Yeah, we do that. That's very personal. I don't know what it is for you. I have to look at what it is for me. Running after other gods? Yeah. What are you chasing? If you think you catch it or get it, then everything's going to be great. Tell you what, you're going to be exhausted is what's going to happen. It might be great for a week, a month. It might be great for years. But sooner or later, Lord, I need you. So in the midst of that, Lord, give us eyes to see Jesus. In the gospel reading that Pastor read, there's that one little phrase, the Jewish people were looking for this deliverance, understandably, because why? It had been promised. So some of them came to Jesus. This is, like 1,500 years later, 1,300 years later. And they say, Jesus, where's this kingdom you're talking about? Where's this rule or reign? And Jesus, they're thinking, when are you going to get these Romans out of our turf? When are we going to not have to pay exorbitant interest? When is our village going to prosper? When are the bad guys going to go away? When is your kingdom going to come? And Jesus said, the kingdom is right in the middle of you. He's talking about himself. He is God's rule and reign in our hearts. He's the one that rules. He's the one that reigns. He's the one that brings peace in the midst of chaos. He is the one that brings healing, and not necessarily the cancer's gone healing, but the healing of what the fear is when you have cancer, of death, of distress, of upset. The kingdom, the rule of God is in the midst of you. We see Jesus. And in that sense, he intercedes. Remember, Moses interceded. Jesus interceded. He stands between death, which is the result of sin, which he stood, and if you will, took the bullet. I know that's not politically correct, but anyway, he did. Okay? He took upon himself all of the tsunami of our rebellion, of our sin, other people's sin that is more than a rock that hit us. It killed him. Why? Because that's what sin always does. Always. But he defeated it. He said, you gave me your best, Satan, and it's not enough to extinguish me, to keep the promise I made to God's people. All is well. The phrase used is he intercedes for us. He defends us in the midst of accusations of conscience or perhaps of another person's words. The word that I love is Romans 8. Who then, think about this, who then is the one who condemns? Now, in your life, it may be your conscience. It might be yourself. It might be old tapes. It might be someone that said you cannot be loved, no one would love you. It might be someone that said you'll never get past this. It might be someone that said no one can forgive you for that. It might be some situation that was more than at the moment overwhelming. But he said, who's going to condemn you? No one, no one. It is Christ Jesus who died. I mean, he took the heat, more than the heat. And more than that, he was raised from the dead. It did not destroy him. Don't think that is going to destroy you. Anything in this physical world is going to destroy you. It might wound you, it might maim you for a while, but not destroy you. He was raised from the dead, and where is he? He was here in bread and wine with us right here on 290. And he's also at the right hand of the Father. How can he be two places at once? Well, he's God. He doesn't have the problems we have with physical distance or laws of nature. And he's interceding for us. He's sharing with the Father. These are our children. These are your children. All is well. The debt's been paid. The past has been healed. And he's interceding for us. Why? This is what's written in stone. That is permanent, not to be erased. His love endures forever. Trust the promise and the one who made it. That is set in stone. The Lord's peace be with you as you go from here to serve him as God's children, as you serve others.